You guys, this is a sensitive topic and it's really tough to talk about, but we need to talk about it because as a nurse, I would be taking you guys through Candyland if I didn't emphasize the prevalence of death in the hospital and on your job. So I want to come to you guys with a short video talking about dealing with death as a nurse. When I first started in nursing and after experiencing my first death, it was really strange to hear from older nurses the whole notion of it gets easier. And I'm a more experienced nurse now and I still struggle with hearing that, and I'm going to tell you guys why. And I understand both sides, but for me, when you have a respect and regard for human life, I think it's natural to have a response or reaction to the loss of it. This response, it doesn't have to be exaggerated to be validated. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't have to be weeping and wailing. We are nurses, we are professionals, and there's a whole conversation around that and what's appropriate and what you need to do to, comfort and maintain a professional environment. However, it's natural to have a response when life is lost, when you have a regard for it and when you have a respect for life. So people say that death gets easier, and when they say that everything surrounding that gets easier, I believe there's two sides to it. Some people sincerely and genuinely mean that you're gonna get used to the duties required of you surrounding death. So post-mortem care, calling funeral homes, interacting with security and the morgue, talking with the family, calling organ centers, eye banks, things like that. Things of that nature get easier to do. You get used to doing and you understand better how to do. There's those categories of people that I think sincerely mean that when they say that it gets easier. Now, I also think, and from my experience, have seen people that just don't necessarily have a regard for the loss of life, and you can just kind of tell by their actions. They don't necessarily use tact with things like joking, laughing, and doing things surrounding the experience of death, surrounding the families that have lost loved ones. It's just so beyond them. It's just so far from their minds and so indirect that they don't even acknowledge it. So I think you have to be really careful when it comes to those situations in the hospital, how you respond. Like I said, I don't believe that as professionals that we have to have an exaggerated response. And there's been times where my emotions have gotten the better of me and I've had to step away from the situation. Or, it's okay. You can let a tear fall. You can you have to discern, you have to use tact when dealing with families. Assess your environment, things like that. I can't tell you in one situation what's right and in another situation that it's wrong. And obviously everybody doesn't mourn the same way, and everybody doesn't expect everyone to be somber and things like that with death. We celebrate life. Some people are happy and talking about how great their loved one was and things like that with the family. What I'm talking about that's inappropriate is people outside of the death experience not respecting it. Don't misunderstand me when I say appropriate response to death, because obviously that ranges. I don't expect everybody to be crying and sad and silent, but you get what I'm saying? You just have to be appropriate. Somebody's gonna have a problem with me saying that, but I hope you guys understand what I'm saying. I think it's important to do a few things as a nurse. One thing to do is recognize death for what it is. It is a natural progression of life. It is. It's gonna happen to everyone, whether we like to believe it or not. And I think recognizing that as a natural part of life helps with accepting. Another thing that's important to do is talk it out with somebody. If you need to talk it out with a therapist, a counselor, a close nursing friend, a close friend, a significant other, whoever, talk it out if you need to talk it out. I also think that it's important to assign it meaning and purpose. We talked about how it's a natural progression of life But I think assigning it meaning and purpose speaks more to the fact that death gives meaning to life. For me, seeing death firsthand and being surrounded by it, it gives meaning to how I live my life. And with that, I think a lot of people say, don't take it home with you, don't take it home with you. And in a lot of cases, you need to leave that stuff at work. Sometimes you do need to take it home, and sometimes you need to allow it to strengthen your passion and your perspective of nursing care, of family engagement, of your personal life. Like, sometimes you do need to take that home. And I feel like I've covered a lot, but it's still hard. It's just hard. It's one of those things where it's just like, man. So, do certain things get easier? Yes, as far as tasks surrounding the death experience. Do emotional things get easier? Not always. Sometimes you're able to accept it better in one circumstance over another. It varies, it all depends. That's all I really want to say about that. I do want to emphasize again to find somebody to talk to about stuff like this, about things that you face in the workplace, and the things that are heavy, you know, that you can't always carry by yourself. I don't even know how to end this video because it's such a heavy subject, so I don't want to make too light, but I just appreciate you guys for getting through this video with me. If you stuck around to the end, thanks for rocking with Nurse Rocky. I hope you guys are subscribed, and if you are subscribed, hit the notification bell so you can know exactly when I post another video. I will see you guys in my next video.